Hello my SPAD friends and Apprentice fans and anybody else who's clicked on this video. Sorry it's late again. Basically I've just been really busy and I didn't actually get to watch The Apprentice until like last night. And this week on The Apprentice, the candidates had to put together a corporate away day. And what did they do? They did the usual thing that they do, which is instead of talking to the clients and asking them what they expected from a corporate away day, they kind of just told them that this is what they were going to be getting from their corporate away day, and told them what the price was going to be. Like one company said, "Oh, really? We wouldn't really pay more than like £200 per person," and they managed to get that up to sort of like 245. But they didn't then say to them, "Well, what do you expect for £200 a person? What is the expectation here?" No. They didn't do any of that. They never do. They never do any of that. They never do the sensible thing. It's like they go into this show and instantly forget, like, all common sense. Like to me, it's sort of obvious when I'm sat watching the show in my living room. You know, like, is it that they get there and then, like, all of the common sense cells sort of just start falling out of the ear? Who knows? So one team, and I can never remember the difference once they go from like girls and boys to we're going to name the teams. I can never remember because they switched them around too much. So like one team had the museum tour and the other team had the pit stop. And I think we know which one most people would have preferred to do. You know, like, do you want to go around the museum or do you want to go to do a pit stop train crew thing? I think we know which one was better. Of course, the other team did have the actual, like, you get driven around in a race car activity, which was probably something that both teams should have picked. Logically, because the one thing that they know about the corporate clients is they want to have their away day at Silverstone racetrack. That's the only thing that they know about them. They don't know anything else. I mean, the new one was a tech company and they were like, "Oh, Brittany. When Brittany is not talking about the bees or the ice caps, Brittany is getting things wrong." And she kept calling a motion simulator VR. Motion simulator and VR. These are two very, very different things. She could not get her head around that. And there was very little communication. Now, I don't know, are they not allowed to phone each other anymore? Because years ago, on The Apprentice, you'd have the teams and the teams would split up, but they'd have phones and they'd phone each other and they'd give each other updates. So they'd say things like, you know, like, "Actually, we've spoken to this corporate client. They're really not bothered about doing the motion simulator. Maybe we should knock that on the head, save ourselves some money, find something else." But they didn't do that. Or, like, you know, like, we didn't have harps go like, "Oh, well, you know, the motion simulator is actually quite expensive. Is this something that they were really excited about?" No, because there was no phone calls, and I don't know if that's like a new rule that they're not allowed to phone each other anymore, or it's just not occurred to them in their little brains that actually mobile phones exist and we can call each other and communicate. And like, when it came to like serving the food, I thought like communication actually would have been very, very important, like to give them updates and say like, you know, "Right guys, at this minute we're about 10 minutes away from finishing the tour. Are you close to having the food prepared, or should we drag this out a little bit, take them back around a few of the exhibits that we haven't seen yet?" But they didn't do that. Of course they didn't do that. They left Akshay and Nick in charge of the food. What a mistake that was, to leave Akshay and Nick inside of the food, in charge of the food. Harps had no problem. Harps had no problem because she was Gordon Ramsay and Akeem was a slave. And she just told him exactly what to do and he did it like a good boy. But Akshay and Nick, like, they hadn't thought, like, should we set the table first? No. And even if the tour hadn't finished early, there was still 45 minutes late with the food. So honestly, that was no wonder why they ended up losing the task. It was entirely the fault of, like, first of all, the girls. Like, as much as it pains me to say it, right? Like, Catherine wasn't in charge, so I don't really blame her. And you know, heart Catherine. But like the girls, they whizzed around the museum. They didn't really, you know, drag it out, take the time, like give the clients something that they could really explore and have fun with. They just sort of dragged them around like it was a school trip, which is not really what you want to pay like 200 odd quid for, really. No, it's not. You know, you wanna have something that's exciting and interactive, and they didn't actually test the museum beforehand. They were just like, oh no, it's interactive, and that just meant like touching video screens blindly and touching things, and it wasn't very good. It wasn't very good. The museum tour was not very good, and the food was not very good. There's a pussycat complaining that another pussycat has come into the shed. Do you mind? I'm filming. So, you know, they were kind of set up from the start to fail. The only good part of their tour was the whiz around the racetrack. Whiz around the racetrack. The whiz around the racetrack. That was the best part of their tour. Whereas the other team, they had the track tour, they had the pit stop crew thing, which was an actual team building activity, which is the kind of thing that you want on a corporate away day. They had the top quality food. They had a load of rice because Harps was like, we need more rice. We need more rice. Cook more rice, Kim. Cook more rice. And then they finished sort of on the motion simulator. But out of everything, like, that was their only downfall, and everything else, they were like, you know, they didn't ask for refunds. So they kind of got away with that. The motion simulator was clearly the worst part of their tour, but, you know, in the end, it didn't really matter because the rest of it was quite successful. The other team, the best part of the tour was the race around the racetrack, but the rest of it was a complete disaster. Like, I just don't know, nobody on these teams ever been, like, on a corporate away day and the kind of things that you would do on one of these days. Like, these things are normally about bonding and about building loyalty, about, like, team building activities, like, doing things together as a group, not like wandering around a museum like you're on a school trip with like a clipboard going like, oh, just gonna press some buttons, and then you do the work. That's why you're paying us so much money, for you to do the work. So Nick went home. I was not at all surprised that Nick went home. It was about time that Nick went home. I was surprised that only one person went home. Gonna be honest. Did kind of think that they were geared up to a double firing and it was going to be Nick and Akshay. But maybe Lord Sugar's gone, you know what? Akshay's a bit of a wide boy. He's making some good telly here. Let's keep him around for another week. We don't have to do double firing yet. Maybe that'll be next week that we do the double firing. So, next week. Next week, they are selling on TV. We remember when Apprentice candidates have sold things on TV before. Like the time with the trampoline. When he was assembling the trampoline and he's like screwing in the legs, but he's doing it right above his crotch. Classic. Or the time that they were meant to do like a video demoing the products, but they didn't actually do that, so they were just like waving like this car cleaning thing around in a car park. Like, historically speaking, when it comes to The Apprentice and it comes to like live TV selling, they're usually not good. They're usually not very good. Typically in this kind of thing, nobody's got any sort of live broadcast experience. And this is the kind of thing that, like, I do think I'd be good at if I ended up going on The Apprentice. I'd be like, no guys, leave it to me. I'm fine. I've done a lot of stuff live. Just leave it to me, guys. I can do it. You know, like, I think I would thrive personally in this kind of task. But I've got experience in live broadcasting. Most of these, the candidates don't have really the experience in live broadcasting. So it's going to be a disaster. We know it's going to be a disaster before it even happens. Because that's what always happens whenever they do the live TV thing. It's always a complete and utter disaster. Still no idea when my favourite task is going to come. Are they saving it for last? My favourite task, the scavenger hunt task. Better be doing it this year, Lord Sugar. That's my favourite task. That's my favourite task of all the tasks. So we'll see. We'll see on that one. I'm not sure, I'm not sure if someone from the Beeb has been listening to the feedback of Apprentice fans, because I know it's been discussed a lot. I've discussed it on like Reddit and other places, that like Tom Allen is maybe not the most interactive of hosts, but this week's Apprentice You're Fired, this week's was like actually like quite an improvement on previous weeks. Like, it seemed like you'd actually seen the show this week. On the clips thing, there was like some more interesting stuff. So, like, you know, there's been an improvement in the after show, which pleases me, because I enjoy watching the after show. Or I used to enjoy watching the after show, but you know, no, credit where credit is due. There were improvements made. Let's see if that can continue towards the end of the series. We're just going to have to wait and see on that one, I'm afraid. But, you know, like, fingers crossed. We're going to get some after-show material that's, like, a bit better, heading towards the finale. So, yes, week 8, is that what we're on? I've lost complete track of what week we're on, but yeah, so that's it. Is it clear yet who's going to be in the final 5? Catherine for sure. Catherine is definitely going to be in the final 5. I'm thinking Aaron's probably going to be in the final 5. Not that he deserves to be in the final 5, but I just think that they're going to be like, oh, we need one boy. I'm thinking probably Stephanie is going to be in there. Definitely Harps is going to be in there. Maybe Akeem and Aaron will be the boys. I don't think Brittany is getting there. I'll be honest. I don't think she is. But I'm willing to concede if I'm wrong on this. I am. I'm not a person to shy away from when I am wrong about things. So we still don't know really, but we're just gonna wait and see and find out. And next week they're gonna make a whole great big mess of the live selling, and that'll be at least entertaining to watch.